welcome everyone to the GATE Academy. So today we are going to continue another very important topic on our larger theme of vocabulary, synonyms and antonyms based questions that appear in GATE. Now this is again a very important category or type of questions that appear in the general aptitude verbal section of the GATE exam, which tests you on 2 or 3 different things. First of all, this topic, which is called analogies, actually tests you on your vocabulary. That is, what is your level of understanding of different types of words in different subjects or in different fields. Particularly, of course, there can be a lot of examples related to your technical field as well and general fields. It also tests you on what is your level of understanding of the different or varied meanings of a word in different fields, and what are the similar sounding or sometimes opposite sounding words or opposite words to say exactly in a particular field. So once we start understanding what analogies are in terms of examples, then it will be clear to us that what do we mean by analogies, how do we actually attempt these questions, how do we need to prepare. Of course, I do not need to tell you, as we have discussed in some other segments of vocabulary, synonyms and antonyms based questions and topics, that any student or any person who is preparing for the GATE exam or any other competitive exam where there are vocabulary based questions, that aspirant, that test taker must work on his or her vocabulary. You need to read regularly, you need to practice as much through these videos and through other resources, and you also particularly need to have a habit of reading a lot of newspapers and magazines and a lot of newsworthy articles, because a lot of these words, a lot of these technical words, contextual words which are used in different contexts in different fields, you can often find in a lot of newspapers or magazines or news websites or a lot of detailed articles, technical articles. So the more you are into the habit of reading, the better your vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms, the use of prefixes and suffixes, all that is going to improve. So what do we mean by analogy or analogies? The word analogy means something similar to, or something similar in meaning to, or something very close to in terms of appearance, in terms of meaning, in terms of shape, in terms of structure, in terms of different types of meanings. Analogy can be related to maybe the shape or the structure or the size or the look or feel of something, or it could have a deeper meaning, that is, let's say a particular phenomena or a particular action or a particular state is similar to another state or phenomena or action, then we say that this is an analogy to something else. Or let's say there is something that is a result of something else. Then if there is another set of things which are also a result of something else, then we can again say that these are analogies. So now let us start understanding on the basis of certain examples. So as you can see on the screens, now the first question is, this is basically an example, example 1, which says, elated is to despondent as enlightened is to. Now it is given that the word elated is to despondent. By this we mean that the word elated is related to the word despondent. I know it sounds very rhyming or similar, elated, related. But what we mean here is that there is a word given which is elated. This word elated has a relation to another word which is despondent in the same way as the word enlightened is related to, and now there are 4 options given to us. Option A is aware, option B is ignorant, option C is miserable, and option D is tolerant. So essentially what we have to do in this question or in this example is that we have to identify that particular word which is related to enlightened in exactly or almost the same manner in which elated is related to despondent. So what is the meaning of the word elated? Elated means to be very happy or to feel very happy, to feel that your spirits are uplifting or your spirits, your mood is getting happier and happier. So that feeling is called getting elated or feeling elated or being elated. The word despondent is actually an antonym of elated. Despondent means somebody who is sad, somebody who's feeling very, very disappointed, very dejected, somebody who's having a feeling of sorrow. So despondent is opposite to elated. That means we have to identify a word among the four option choices, among the four options, which is also somewhat, or should I say close to, an antonym of the word enlightened. Now, as we know, enlightened means somebody, a group or a person who has a lot of knowledge or who has attained a lot of knowledge, or a person who is knowledgeable, a person who has a lot of wisdom or knowledge, or a person who has a better or deeper understanding of things. That person or group of persons is or are called enlightened. So, among the words, which of the word is closest to an antonym or closest to opposite of the word enlightened? It is obviously option B, which is ignorant, because ignorant means anybody or any group or any organization that does not have the knowledge about a particular field, or knows very little about a particular field or a topic or a word. So excuse me, enlightened has ignorant as closest to an antonym out of all the four options given. Miserable, the option C, of course, means somebody who is feeling again very actually despondent. So miserable is similar to in meaning to the word despondent, but that means a sad state or a feeling of sadness. It is not related to ignorance. Tolerant again means somebody or something that can tolerate or withstand or bear something that is not pleasant. That is called tolerant. Aware, of course, is opposite of ignorant. We very well know that. So the correct option is option B, which is ignorant. Now we come to the next example. Now as we can see very clearly, odometer is actually an instrument or a gadget or an instrument or a machine that is used to measure distance. So odometer is a machine that is used to measure distance. Similarly, we have to find a pair of words where also something is used to measure something. So let's see. Now option A says scale is to weight. Now we very well know that there is a machine often at homes or in offices or in doctors' clinics or hospitals you can find, which is put on the ground. It's sort of a flat cuboid shaped machine with a large flat surface on top of which any person or object can be placed, and the machine gives the weight of that person or the object. And we all have often heard that that machine is called a scale or a weighing scale. So as we can see, option A scale is used to measure a weight. So it sounds here that option A is very similar in terms of relationship as to the original pair of words given. But let us first consider the other options as well and see what the other options are saying. Now length is to width. Now length and width are basically both dimensions of distance that are measured, but one is not used to measure the other. So option B is incorrect. Similarly, when we come to option C, which is inch is to foot. Again, inch and foot are both units of measuring distance. Not one of them is not a machine or an instrument that is used to measure the other. So again, option C is incorrect. Option D, mileage is to speed. Now mileage is a word that is used in terms of any fuel or source of energy that is used in automobiles. That is, any unit of gasoline or petrol or diesel or gas that is used for how many miles. That is, let's say a particular automobile is there which runs on gasoline or petrol or diesel for, let's say, a particular number of kilometers, let's say 20 kilometers per liter. So that is called the mileage of a vehicle. So mileage is a term used to measure the amount of fuel used per unit of fuel used for a certain distance. So this is not an instrument that is used to measure speed. So here, as you can see, we have rejected options B, C and D because none of them are even close in terms of relationship of the two words compared to the original pair of words. So the correct option is option A. That is, odometer is used to measure distance, which is the original pair of words given, and in a very similar relationship is option A, where scale is used to measure weights. Now we move on to some general examples of these two types of questions in analogies, where we are going to practice and learn how to attempt these questions, and also what are or can be potential topics or potential fields or different contexts from which questions can come. So let's move on. So as you can see, you have the first example on your screens. This is again the question which is similar to the first type of example that we discussed a while back. Now the question says, artist is to painting as senator is to. Now we all know that the work of an artist is to paint. So we have to find a particular kind of an action or a job that a senator does. Now what is a senator? A senator is basically a kind of a public representative that is elected in the United States of America and a few other countries. Just like in India, there is a parliament in which there is a lower house of parliament which is called the Lok Sabha, in which there are representatives which are elected through a process of elections every 5 years in India, and those members who are elected in the lower house, that is Lok Sabha, are called MPs or members of parliament. Similarly, in the United States, there is a parliament or something similar to parliament which is called the Congress, and in the Congress there are two houses. One of them is called the Senate, and another house is called the House of Representatives. Now the members of Senate are called senators. Now just as in the case of India, where members of the Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house, and members of the Lok Sabha are required to discuss and debate and then make laws or amend or change laws. Similarly, in the United States, the Congress and the two parts of the Congress, which is the US Senate and the US House of Representatives, and there are similar bodies in other countries as well, their job is to make laws. So essentially, the job of a senator is to make laws. So the correct option is option B. That is, a senator is to law exactly in the same way as an artist is to a painting. As you can very well see, all the other options are not correct. The reason being, if you consider option A, attorney. Now, a senator is not to an attorney, because senator and attorney are both different job descriptions. Whereas in the original question, artist is a job or a noun and painting is a particular type of a noun or a particular kind of a job. So we have to connect a particular person's designation with the kind of activity or the job that the person does. Whereas senator and attorney are both job designations. So again, attorney does not connect. Option C, politician. Now yes, you can say that senator is a politician. Exactly, senator is a politician, but that is not the job. Politician is again a category of a type of a person. It is not defining the exact job that a senator does, and that is, a senator makes laws, just like an artist makes a painting. Constituents. Now constituents means actually the people or the persons whom any elected person or any representative serves. Like in India, the MPs are selected from different seats which are called constituencies, and the people who are living or who are residing in a particular constituency or seat, Lok Sabha seat, they are called the constituents of that seat or the constituents of that particular member of parliament. So constituents again is not a particular type of a job or a particular type of a product that is created by a senator. That's why the correct option is option B, law. Let's move on to the next example. This is the next example, as you can see on your screens. This example says that candid is to indirect as honest is to. Again, this is a question similar in format to the previous question. Candid, the word candid has a relationship to indirect, and we have to find another word out of the given options which has a similar relationship to the word honest. So what does the word candid means? The word candid means the ability or the state of being very honest and outspoken. That is, whenever someone or some group speaks in a very open, honest, frank manner, or writes something or speaks something in a frank or open manner, then it is said that the person or the group of persons is being candid, or they are being candid, or they are candid, or they spoke in a candid manner. This is the way candid, the word candid is used. Now candid is to indirect. Now of course, as I just now explained, candid means being direct, being open, being frank, coming straight to the point. Whereas indirect means that when you are not coming directly to the point and you are trying to speak, going roundabout and then trying to speak. So candid and indirect are sort of antonyms of each other. So out of the options, we have to find a word which is close to an antonym, if not a direct antonym, then close to an antonym of the word honest. So let's see. We all are aware honest means somebody who always speaks the truth, somebody who's always, being frank, being to the point, who's always speaking the truth, who is always, accepting the truth as well. Whereas, out of the options, as we can very well see, option D, untruthful, is a direct antonym of being honest. So, the correct option is option D, untruthful. Even if we consider the other options, option A means frank. Now, frank is actually a synonym of honest because honest means speaking the truth, accepting the truth. Frank also means being open and candid. So frank is a sort of, you can say, vaguely a synonym of honest. Wicked means somebody who has an ill feeling or a bad feeling or who's trying to plan bad for someone else. So wicked is not related to honest. Truthful is actually a direct synonym of honest. So the only option that is an antonym of honest, a clear antonym of honest, is untruthful, which has the same, and so these words form the same relationship as to the original pair of words given, that is candid is to indirect. So I hope you understood this question. Let's move on to the next question. So this is the next question, as you can see on your screens. Again, this question is similar to the previous question types. It says, oar is to rowboat as foot is to. Now, there are certain objects given in the original question. The original pair of objects is oar and rowboat. Now, we very well know that a rowboat means that a boat in which the boat can be used to move ahead by trying to push the water back. Whenever the water is pushed back, then the boat moves forward in the water. And what is that instrument that is used to push back the water? It is called an oar. It has a rod, a long rod to hold it, and then at the end of the rod there is a very flat metallic structure which is used to push the water back. So the boat, whenever the water is pushed, the boat moves in the direction opposite to the pushing of the water. So again, we have to find out of the given options a word which has a similar relationship to the word foot. That is, an oar is used to move a rowboat. Similarly, we have to find a particular instrument which is, we have to find a particular machine or some kind of a gadget which is used by using a foot. Now, if we look at the first one, running. Running is not a machine or a gadget. Second one is a sneaker. Now, sneaker is a kind of a cloth that is often worn. So, of course, a foot is actually put inside a sneaker. Like sneaker is a type of a trousers that is worn in the over your legs. But a foot is not used to drive or to move a sneaker. A foot is just put inside a foot, or a leg is put inside a sneaker. So a sneaker does not go accurately with foot. The next one is skateboard. Now, as most of us would have heard and seen, a skateboard is basically an instrument with which often children and even adults use it to actually move quickly anywhere on the footpaths or on the sidewalks or on the gardens or any playing areas, where you have to push the ground with one of your foot, and then you can put both your feet on the skateboard, and there are small wheels attached to the side of the skateboard, and the skateboard keeps on moving ahead. So we use the foot to actually move the skateboard because we push the ground in the opposite direction to which we want to move, and so the skateboard quickly moves ahead using the wheels. So that's why the correct option that matches the word foot is skateboard, because foot, that is the human foot, is used to move on a skateboard. Now, jumping is a noun. We can use the foot to jump. Of course, we jump on our feet or we move ahead on our feet. But jumping is a verb. It is not a particular gadget or a machine which is used, which is driven using the foot. So the relationship that an oar and a rowboat has is similar to the relationship that a foot and a skateboard has. So the correct option is option C. Let's move on to the next question. So this is the next question, as you can see on your screens. Here again, we are now shifting to the second type of questions related to analogies that appear in GATE and other competitive exams. As I had explained in the introduction part of this topic, analogies, where I had taken 2 examples, and each of the examples was a particular type of question. So there was one particular type of question where a proper sentence is given, and here this is the second type of question where just a pair of words is given, and then in the options also, each of the options contains a pair of words, and we have to identify that option where the relationship between the pair of words is same or similar in the relationship to the original pair of words given. So here in this question, the original pair of words is Siamese cat. That is, we can also speak like Siamese is to cat. So now Siamese is actually a type of a cat. So we have to look for a similar relationship in the options. First one is type, breed. Now the word type is a general word in English which means the variations in or the different categories, and the word breed is used in zoology to talk about the breed of an animal or the different types of species or the types or categories of animals. So type or breed are sort of similar in meaning, but they do not have the same relationship as Siamese is to cat, because Siamese is a type of a cat, whereas type is not a kind of a breed. They are actually kind of synonyms. Next we come to B. Dog is to puppy. Dog, puppy. Now puppy is actually a little dog. So puppy is not a particular category or a particular breed of dogs. Puppy is actually just any small dog, any little young dog is called a puppy. So puppy and dog also do not have the similar or same relationship as to the original pair. We come to the next one. C is mark, spot. Now mark is something whenever you actually mark something, that is, you put a spot on something, you mark it so that it is visible. So whenever you mark some point or some place so that it is visible as a spot, they do not have the similar type of relationship, because here we are talking about a particular category out of a general category. That is, Siamese is a particular category of the general category of cats. So mark and spot do not have the do not even have anywhere close to that kind of a relationship. Coming to option D, romaine, lettuce. Now before we come to romaine and lettuce, let us come to option E, which is collar and leash. Now we have all heard of the term leash. Leash is essentially a type of a round hollow belt which is used to control animals, domestic animals, like it could be a horse, or it could be an elephant, or it could be a camel, or it could be a dog. So leash is generally a round belt which is put around the neck of an animal, and then it has a long sort of a string or rope through which the animals are controlled. And the collar, a collar is also a sort of a round strip that is put around the neck of a dog, usually a dog, but the point is that a collar is not a type of a leash. A collar can be used to identify a dog. A collar can sometimes be put just to make an animal or a dog look good, look beautiful. So collar has multiple purposes, whereas a leash is a very specific type of a belt which is used to control an animal. So we cannot say that collar is actually a type of a leash. Yes, both these you can say both these objects are worn, they are belt type objects, they are worn around the neck, but they can have multiple. Leash has a specific use, whereas collar can have a multiple uses. So we come to option D, which is romaine and lettuce. Now we all know lettuce is a particular type of a broad-leaved, light green, broad-leaved vegetable, which is often put in a lot of different recipes and a lot of different meals, especially in sandwiches or in burgers, or it is often eaten raw as well. And romaine is actually a type of a lettuce. Romaine is a particular category of the general category of vegetable which is called lettuce. So as we can clearly see, option D, the pair of words romaine and lettuce have exactly or very close to the relationship as the original pair of words, which is Siamese. That is, Siamese is a type of a cat. So now we move on to the next example. So here's the next question on your screens. Once again, an original pair of words is given and we have to identify among the options which pair of words has same or very similar relationship as to the original pair of words. So the original pair of words is cotton, bale. That is, cotton is to bale. Now, what is bale? Essentially, bale is a round cylindrical sheet in which cotton is wrapped. So it's like round cylindrical sheets or round cylindrical wrappings in which cotton is wrapped. Then there is a covering on top so that the cotton doesn't get dirty, and then this particular round wrapping and it is usually around this size, sometimes it can be larger than that. They are used to transport the cotton easily in a compact form, and they can be easily put in different transport vehicles and transported easily. So bale is a particular type of a wrapping or a particular type of way in which cotton is collected and transported. So we have to identify a pair of words among the options which has a similar relationship. Now we come to option A, butter is to churn. Now we all know that butter is actually churned. So churned is a process that is done on butter. So of course this option doesn't have the kind of relationship as the original pair. We come to option B, wine is ferment. Once again, wine is fermented. That is, fermentation is a particular process that is used to produce wine or to improve the quality of wine. So once again, they do not have, this pair does not have the similar relationship to the original one. So we come to option C, which is grain shock. Now, grain as in wheat or barley or maize, these are so many different crops which are actually produced in the form of very, very small particles which are called grains in the fields that you may have seen in agriculture or you may have observed on videos. So often you would have observed while traveling in the countryside or somewhere in the fields that there are usually human-sized structures or sometimes even taller structures where all the cut parts of the plant are put in a round or sometimes in a square hut-shaped or a round hut-shaped with a dome on top. All those cut plants are actually strewn together in a round, big round shape, and they are put in the fields. They usually are dark brown because they are all dried long leaves, dried long stems and leaves of wheat, barley or maize, which are then strewn together or bound together using strings, and they, from the distance, they sometimes appear like those are very small round shaped or square shaped huts, whereas they are basically very densely packed multiple stems and leaves of different grain plants like wheat or barley or maize, and they are put there to dry, and then they can also to ensure that the top part of that particular structure, which is actually called a shock, that particular bound structure which is bound using strings or ropes, that particular structure is called a shock, and at the top of it, the top part of all those different stems or plants that are the dried plants that are put together, to protect that top part from all the moisture of the dust, that's why it is put in a horizontal manner and strewn together. So we can say that the different types of grains are actually collected using the shock, or it is also called stook. The word, that particular structure which is formed is also called a stook, or sometimes it is called a shock. So a stook of grain or a shock of grain. It is a way of collecting hundreds and sometimes thousands of dried plants or dried stems of those grain plants, and then they are put together using ropes, and then they can be easily transported or they can be kept safe from all the dust and the moisture or all the insects that are there on the ground. So as we can very well see, just like a bale is a particular way of collecting and bounding together cotton, similarly a stook, or here the word is given shock, is a particular way of collecting and binding all the different grain plants, the dried plants of grains. So C is the correct option, but we also consider option D and E before we move on. So option D says curd is to cheese. Now we know that curd and cheese are both products that are derived from milk, but one of them is not a particular form of collecting the other. So curd and cheese are not related in that sense. beef and steak. Now beef is actually the meat of cows, whereas steak is actually cutting any type of meat in flat structures along the muscles. Just like in originally the animals, the manner in which the muscle fibers are there. So along the lines of the muscle fibers, when a particular meat part is cut in flat structures, those flat structures are called steak. So beef and steak can be any type of a meat. Generally it is, you can say a meat of chicken or something, whereas beef is cow's meat. So again, they do not have that kind of a relationship as the original pair of words given. So the correct answer is that cotton is to bale exactly as grain is to shock. That is option C. Now let's move on to the next question. Here is the next question in front of you. Once again, a pair of words is given, and among the options we have to identify the correct pair which has similar meaning to the original pair. So the original pair is elephant pachyderm. Now what is pachyderm? Pachyderm is actually the category of large sized animals which have a very thick skin. So elephant is a large sized animal which has a very thick skin, and pachyderm is mostly related to the thick skinned large sized animals. All those types of animals or all the category of those types of animals are called pachyderms. So elephant is a type of a pachyderm. Now among the options we have to find the pair which has a similar relationship. The first one is mantis is to rodent. Now this question becomes interesting because all the options in this question have some very interesting types of species or different categories of animals or species given, and we can learn a lot about this particular aspect of zoology or botany in this particular question. So let's move ahead. So option A says mantis is to rodent. Now mantis is actually a particular type of an insect. Like often we have seen a grasshopper. A grasshopper is a green colored long insect. It is green colored, which often jumps on the grass. So grasshopper is a type of a mantis. Now an insect which does not have a bone, which does not have a backbone, those are called invertebrates, as many of us would have studied in our during our school when we would have studied biology, that there is a particular category of living animals which are called vertebrates. That is all those animals which have a backbone, whereas those animals which do not, those animals or those living species which do not have a backbone are called invertebrates. Now this particular type of insect, this particular category of insects which is called mantis is an invertebrate. That is, all the categories of insects which are under mantis, they do not have a backbone. Whereas rodents are a particular type of animal species which have a backbone, and at the same time they have one single pair of long teeth. If you very clearly notice, the most common example of rodents that we often hear is rats or mice. So rats or mice, or rat or a mouse, it has a long pair of tooth coming out. So all those animals which has just a single pair of tooth coming out from both sides, sometimes from the bottom of the jaw or the top of the jaw, that particular animal comes under the animal category of rodents. So mantis and rodents are not related to each other in the same way as the original pair is related. Let's move on to question, option B, which is poodle is to feline. Now poodle is actually a type of a dog, whereas feline is a word which is used for a category of cats. That is, feline is the larger category under which cats come. So they are not related. Then question, that is option C, which is kangaroo is a marsupial. Now what are marsupials? Marsupials is a particular category, or you can say category or subcategory of animals where whenever a adult animal or a matured animal gives birth to a young one, then the young one initially is not fully developed, and the adult one or the parent actually has a pouch in their bodies in which they keep the young one by the time the young one grows completely and then is able to come out and easily move around. And the most common example that we have all often seen or heard or watched on TV, is that a kangaroo in the front part of its body carries a pouch in which the kangaroo puts its young one who's just born for the first few months, and then the young kangaroo, once it grows, then it also gets out of the pouch and starts having a very active, freely moving life. So marsupials is that general category of all such animals who actually have the young ones not fully grown, and they in the initial few weeks or months of their young ones, they keep it in a pouch which is a part of a skin of the mother or the parent. So we know that kangaroo is a marsupial, just like an elephant is a pachyderm. That is based on a particular property or characteristic of the skin, or the way a skin is structured. That particular animal has been categorized here. So option C seems most correct, but first let's consider option D and option E as well. Option D says zebra is to horse. Now zebra and horse are four-legged animals, but they are from different species, and those two animals are two separate animals. They do not have any connection in terms of a category of particular type of skinned animals, particular type of animals with a particular type of skin. So it is incorrect. Then option E is tuna is to mollusk. Now mollusk is once again a particular type of invertebrates, that is a particular type of very slow moving, almost very inactive type of species which are found in the water and sometimes outside the water as well. And mollusks do not have a a backbone. That is, they are invertebrates. Whereas a tuna is a fish, but mollusks are not fishes. Both tuna and mollusks are invertebrates, but mollusk has a very different type of a category or different type of a structure than a fish. So fish and tuna and mollusk are not related. So as we have derived, the correct option here is option C, where a kangaroo is a particular type of a marsupial because of a particular type of a skin structure or a property of the skin, exactly in the way an elephant is a pachyderm, which means all those animals which have very thick skinned or very thick dark skinned species. So we have identified, this was a very interesting question. I hope you remember that and revise it later on as well. We come on to the next example. This is the next question in front of you. As you can clearly see, a pair of words is given, which is pastoral, rural. That is, pastoral is to rural. The options are A, metropolitan, urban, B, harvest, autumn, C, agrarian, benevolent, and D, sleepy, nocturnal. E is wild, agricultural. Now, there is a reason why in each of these list of examples that I have taken, a lot of the questions contain 5 options. The reason is that when we have more number of options compared to the situation that can occur in GATE, where there are 4 options only, or in other competitive exams where only 4 options can be there, this makes you practice more, and this improves your deductive skills, your ability to analyze and identify the correct pair or the correct option choice out of multiple pairs which might have similar meanings or similar sounding options. So this helps you in practicing better, helps your ability to analyze and deduce things in a better way. That's why we have put here in many of these questions 5 options instead of 4. So coming to the pair of words given, pastoral. Pastoral is basically used for any particular place or region where there are grasslands, or where there is a lot of grass for the domestic animals to usually eat the grass. That is, all those animals that eat grass, wherever there is a lot of land or a lot of grasslands where animals eat grass, that particular place is said to have a pastoral quality, or that particular place is a pastoral place. Or any place which has pastoral type of features, it is said that this has some pastoral features or pastoral quality. Rural is related to pastoral because generally in rural areas, in villages or nearby villages, there are a lot of fields or grasslands. So yes, rural and pastoral are closely related in that sense, that we can find pastoral features or pastoral places in rural places, or pastoral is a type of a rural place, you can say. So we have to identify that particular option which the pair of words has a similar meaning to this original pair. Option A says metropolitan, urban. Now, metropolitan is related to cities, big cities, and urban is also related to cities. So, anything related to big cities is also related to cities. So, yes, option A sounds very similar in terms of its overall meaning as to the original pair, but let's consider the other options as well. Option B is harvest is to autumn. Now, harvest is a process, that is, whenever the different crops that are sown in the fields or in agriculture, when the different crops have grown up, then those crops are cut in proper manner and then they are put for further processing. So that process of cutting the crops or getting the grains or the fruits or whatever stems from that crop for whichever is the useful part of the crop, that process is called harvesting. So harvesting is done in different parts of the year. So often in India and in a lot of other countries as well, harvest is done during the autumn season. That is during the rainy season in India. This is the season which starts from August and ends till around October. So this is the autumn season. From you can say around the end of July till almost October. That's what the autumn season is considered in a lot of countries like in India. So the crops that are harvested, that is the crops that are cut appropriately for further use, that process is called harvesting. And then of course they are packed and cleaned and then they are sent for further processing to maybe food processing industries or whatever. So harvesting is done in autumn, but harvest is not related to autumn in the same way as the original pair. So let's move on to the next option. The next option is agrarian benevolent. Now the word agrarian is related to agriculture, and the word agrarian also means something which is very calm and relaxed and very slow moving, very relaxing and comfortable. And the word benevolent also means something that is lovable, something that is related to care and love, and something that is related to expressing love, or something very relaxing, calming, something that has a lot of warmth. So agrarian and benevolent in that sense are related to some extent, but again, the relationship is not in the same way, or the same type of relationship is not there compared to the original pair given. We come to option D, which is sleepy and nocturnal. Now sleepy and nocturnal are actually antonyms of each other, because the word nocturnal means the ability of not sleeping at night. Whereas being sleepy means, of course, being sleepy, it could be during day or night, but the word nocturnal means all those animals or species which have the capability or which are experiencing a state of not sleeping at night, that is called a nocturnal state, or that type of an animal or species is called a nocturnal species or nocturnal animals. But again, the relationship in this pair is not of that type as the original pair, so we move on to the last option, which is wild agricultural. Now again, wild and agricultural are sort of antonyms to each other, because wild means any persons or people or any type of animals which are uncontrolled or which live in the jungles or the forests. That species or animals are called, or that plants are called wild animals or wild plants or wild species. Whereas agriculture is of course something that is grown by human beings. All those different types of plants or food, that is or plant-based foods which are grown in the fields by human beings for their in a very structured, planned manner for their further use, that process is called agriculture. That is using the land to grow one's food using plants, that is called agriculture. But once again, wild and agricultural are words that in a manner are antonyms of each other. Whereas the original pair of words, pastoral and rural, are somewhat synonyms or close to synonyms of each other. So the only other pair out of the 5 given options that has a similar meaning is A, metropolitan is to urban, because both metropolitan and urban mean related to city life. Similarly, pastoral and rural are both related to the countryside or the village life or the life in the fields and in agriculture or in grasslands. So that's why option A is the correct option. Let's move on to the next question. Now this question states the original pair of words is depressed is to sad. That is the relationship that depressed has with sad. We have to identify a similar relationship among the option choices given. Option A is neat, considerate. Now neat means something that is done in a very orderly, very clean, very clearly visible, clearly understandable fashion. And considerate means something that is being measured or something that is being analyzed from different points of view, or something that is being considered from different points of view. So neat and considerate do not have that kind of a relationship as the original pair, because in the original pair, as you can see, a depressed is an extreme form of sadness. Whenever someone is depressed, that means someone is feeling very, very sad. That state is called being depressed. Whereas neat and considerate are not exactly same, because neat means something that is very clean, very good to look at or easily understandable. Considerate means something that is analyzed or tried to understood from sort of different points of view, or something that is shown some sort of a favorable understanding is called considerate, but they do not have that type of a direct relationship as depressed and sad have, because depressed is an extreme form of sadness or extreme form of state of sad. Coming to option B, it says towering and cringing. Now, towering means something that is very large. It could be large in size, or it could be large in terms of its effect or impact. Whereas cringing means a state or a feeling where somebody feels irritated or wants to move away from something because there is something that is very irritating or very disturbing. So cringing means something that is irritating. So towering and cringing are not related. Largely they have different meanings. So again, this pair does not have the kind of relationship as the original pair. We move on to option C, which is rapid and plodding. Rapid and plodding are actually antonyms of each other, because rapid means something that is done quickly or something that is quick, whereas plodding is a type of walking where there is a slow, painful walk. That is when someone, some animal or some human being is walking in a slow, painful manner and a lot of effort is being made in walking. That type of walk or that action of walking is called plodding. So rapid and plodding are sort of antonyms of each other. So once again, the relationship is not the same as the original pair, because the original pair are actually synonyms. Then we come to option D, which is progressive and regressive. Once again, progressive and regressive are direct antonyms of each other. Progressive means something that moves ahead or moves forward in future, or something that moves towards a better or more positive state, whereas regressive means going backward or going to an unwanted or an inferior state. Coming to option E, exhausted and tired. Now, most of us have heard both these words quite often at different places, and we often use them as well. Exhausted is an extreme form of tiredness. That is when someone or some animal or some human being or any kind of, you can say even a group of people or anything, feels very tired or very, very devoid of energy. There is absolutely no energy left in some human being or some group of people. That is said to be exhausted, which is an extreme form of tiredness. So option E is the correct option, because depressed is an extreme form of sadness or feeling extremely sad. Similarly, exhausted is feeling extremely tired. So I hope you understood this question. Let's move on to the next one. So here is the next question in front of you. Once again, an original pair of words is given. The original pair is slapstick, laughter. That is, slapstick is to laughter. The options are A, fallacy, dismay, B, genre, mystery, C, satire, anger, D, mimicry, tears, and E, horror, fear. Now, slapstick, the word slapstick is a particular type of comedy. It's a type of a comedy or comical situation where the actors or the performers constantly keep moving from one place to the other, and sometimes in a violent, aggressive way. They often create physical actions which seem very stupid or very illogical, which creates funny situations. Like often you would have seen running sequences or chasing sequences, or people jumping here and there in different type of comical or comedy movies or comical or comedy plays. So that type of a performance or an acting or a play or a movie is called a slapstick comedy or a slapstick humor. That type of a situation is called a slapstick humor. So slapstick is a type of a performance or a situation or an action which results in laughter. It's a type of a comedy or a comical situation which results in laughter. So we have to identify a pair which has a similar meaning. Now, fallacy, dismay. Fallacy means something that is wrong, or an activity that is considered a wrong way of doing something or a wrong activity. That is called a fallacy, or something that is considered in general as a wrong trend or a wrong activity. dismay is a feeling that can result from a fallacy. That is, dismay is a feeling of disappointment, a feeling of dejection that can result from a fallacy. But then the feeling of dismay can also occur from different things. A person or anyone can feel dismayed because of a lot of different things, not just because of a fallacy. So fallacy and dismay are related, but they do not have exactly the same type of or close to the same type of relationship as the original pair. So we move on to option B. Option B states genre mystery. Now, mystery is a type of a genre. That is, a mystery novel or a mystery movie is a type of a movie or a genre. Genre means a type or a category. So mystery is a category or a genre of a movie or a novel. But once again, as you may see, that here genre and mystery have a relationship, but this relationship is different from the original relationship. A slapstick is a type of a comedy or a comical situation that results in a laughter, whereas a genre is genre means a type or a category, and mystery is a particular type of genre or a particular genre of something. A mystery is a genre or a type of a novel or a movie. So as you can see, they are not related in the same way. Coming to option C, satire, anger. Now a satire, the word satire means any writing or a movie or a poem, any written or audio visual thing which is a sort of a, which is critical in a sort of sometimes a humorous or in a sort of a light-hearted way or humorous way. Any performance or written thing is critical of something, that is called a satire. Now a satire and anger are not related to each other. A satire can result in anger, but anger can be a result of so many different situations. So satire and anger have a very deep relationship. Coming on to the next option, option D, which says mimicry tears. Mimicry is the quality or the ability or the activity in which any person copies some other person's habits or behavior or manner of speaking and walking. And mimicry, tears or producing tears can be a type of mimicry. That is, let's say if an artist or a performer or an actor or a mimicry artist is trying to copy how someone else cries. Now, so tears can result from a mimicry, but then a mimicry is actually considering thousands of different types of actions can be a result of mimicry, not just tears. Now, horror, fear. Here, as we can very well see, the word horror means any source of fear or a situation or some object or situation that is a source of fear. So just like slapstick is a type of a situation or a product that results in laughter, similarly, a horror is a type of a situation or an object that results in fear. So very clearly option E, horror and fear are related in exactly the same way as slapstick is related to laughter. So I hope you understood this question. Let's move on to the next one. Here, as you can see on your screens, is your next question. Again, a pair of words is given, and out of the 4 pairs as options given, we have to select the pair which has the closest meaning or as close to meaning as possible to the original pair's relationship. So the original pair is spy is to clandestine. Now what is a spy? A spy is essentially a person that does some kind of a secretive work for some other organization, like collecting some secret information or doing some secret tasks and then providing that same information to whoever or whichever organization that person works for or whichever people that person works for. Now, of course, the single most important characteristic or the single most important aspect of a spy's job is that a spy has to do everything in secret. Every part of a spy's work is supposed to be secret. And another word for working secretly or doing any activities secretly is clandestine. The word clandestine means something that is kept secret or anything that is secret or anything that is done secretly. Clandestine is essentially an adverb, and sometimes it is also used as an adjective or an adverb. So, a spy is supposed to work in a clandestine manner or a clandestine way. So now we have to find a similar relationship. So let us start analyzing each option one by one. Option number A is accountant meticulous. Now, as most of us have observed, seen and heard, that an accountant that keeps all the accounts, all the transactions of money, all the financial transactions, it keeps a proper record of that. That person who's called the accountant is but obviously supposed to be very meticulous. That is the primary and the most important characteristic or feature of an accountant's job is that an accountant has to be meticulous. The word meticulous means to arrange everything in a proper, orderly, easily identifiable fashion. That is, be it physical objects, be it written data, be it numbers, be it any kind of information, if it is presented or put in a very, very orderly fashion where it can be easily, one part of information can be easily distinguished and identified separately from any other part of the information, then it is said that everything has been arranged in a meticulous or very orderly, easily identifiable fashion. So that's why we feel that here, as you can see, option A, which means accountant is meticulous, seems to have a similar pattern of meaning as the original pair of words, which is spy and clandestine. But before we straight away jump to conclusions, let us consider the other options as well. So the second option is furrier rambunctious. Now, what is a furrier? F-U-R-R-I-E-R. A furrier is any person that deals with the fur of animals or any kind of animal furs. It could be to use or produce any kind of materials. It could be to supply to some other industry or something. But any person who deals with regularly with different furs of different animals, that person is called furrier. Now, what is rambunctious? Rambunctious essentially means any person or group of people who constantly move about or are in working or behaving in an uncontrolled manner. They are talking loudly, they are moving here and there aggressively, they are behaving in an aggressive or violent or uncontrollable manner. All such behavior is called rambunctious. So as you can see, furrier and rambunctious do not seem to have much of a direct or logical relationship with each other. So option B does not do. Let's consider option C, lawyer ironic. Now a lawyer, of course, we all know what a lawyer is. A lawyer works in a courtroom. The most important job of a lawyer is to present different facts or arguments in a very logical manner. That is, different facts, just different arguments, all should be connected by a strong logic to present an overall point of view. Now, a lawyer can behave in many different ways, or a lawyer can act in many different ways in a court. A lawyer can be angry, a lawyer can be very inquisitive, that is, a lawyer can ask a lot of questions, a lawyer can be very convincing, sometimes a lawyer can even be humorous, sometimes a lawyer can be very serious. So, the word ironic means that something that is going against the norm, or something that it is comparing one thing with the other, and that although the two things are connected, but still they are in a way opposite or alternative to each other. Or you can say they are not exactly gelling well with each other. In such a situation is called ironic, that something was expected but something else is happening against the expectations. So that situation or that particular you can say situation mostly is called ironic. So once again, a lawyer can have different characteristics or can behave in different manners, or a lawyer can be in different situations. So once again, there is no direct logical connection between this pair of words. Then option D, shepherd garrulous. Now the word shepherd has two meanings. One is the noun shepherd, which means the person, of course, who manages the sheep on a farm or in a field. And the word shepherd, which is a verb, also comes from this original word shepherd, which is a noun. So the second word shepherd, which is a verb, means to easily manage something. On the other hand, the word garrulous, which is the second word in this option, means the state or the quality of being very talkative, talking very loudly or talking randomly about random, irrelevant or trifle issues. So garrulous means the state or quality of talking irrelevant or let's say nonsense things which have no meaning, which have no consequence to any person's interests or benefits. So that talk is called garrulous talk, and that behavior is called a garrulous manner of speaking or a garrulous behavior. So once again, shepherd and garrulous actually seem to be a bit opposite to each other. Because let's say if there is a situation or some people who can be easily shepherded, or a people's behavior can be easily shepherded, then of course those people cannot be garrulous, because garrulous means to keep on talking, sometimes loudly, sometimes uncontrollably, about irrelevant and unimportant things. So once again we can see that option D does not seem to have any kind of a, the pair in option D does not seem to have the kind of relationship as the original pair has. So we come to option E, which is astronaut opulent. Now we all know what an astronaut is. An astronaut is a person that actually goes into space, beyond the Earth's atmosphere, into the space, into the cosmos, into the universe, beyond Earth's atmosphere. Whereas opulent means any person or any quality or state of showing off one's wealth, or trying to show off one's a lot of material things, or a lot of physical property or wealth that a person has, trying to show off that thing, that quality or that characteristic is called being opulent. So astronaut and opulent just do not have any kind of a logical connection or logical meaning. So as we can see, only option A, which is accountant meticulous, have the same kind of logical relationship as the original pair spy and clandestine has. So the correct option is option A here.